This video explains how to prepare, install, and program the Floor Overview workstation, including pre-site setup, power and network connections, panel programming, and system configuration before commissioning. This section explains how to prepare, power, and connect the FOW, including pre-site setup, cabinet mounting, network configuration, and initial panel setup. It is recommended to unbox the FOW, power it on, and connect it to the internet before arriving on site to validate the license, set an IP address, and apply Windows updates. PotterNet connects daily to potterlink.com. If it cannot connect for 30 days, a trouble signal will appear and must be resolved within 7 days. For systems that cannot connect to the internet, offline licensing is available. Contact Potter Technical Support and refer to the installation manual for more information. Power the FOW with 24 volts DC using a dedicated NAC circuit, as startup inrush can reach 3 amps. The control panel must run firmware version 12.17 or higher. The FOW connects directly to the PCOM port of a Potter AFC or IPA series addressable panel. This section outlines the programming and configuration steps required before commissioning the FOW. It covers how to customize job details, create and name FSAE-style zones, configure user codes and network settings, and set up hoistway light control and power monitoring. Completing these steps ensures the control panel and FOW are properly synchronized for final commissioning. In the Job Details navigation pane, the fields for address 1 through 4 can be set to be displayed near the top of the FOW display. In General Options, after creating an FSAE-style zone, monitor and unsafe threshold settings are enabled. Please note that with pad PHDs in split mode, heat detectors will trigger an unsafe indicator at 135 degrees regardless of zone and general option settings. Use a standalone pad HD heat detector if higher thresholds are required. A PC Connect user code must be programmed. In the user's navigation window, choose supervised or unsupervised. It is recommended to use supervised, as the panel will enter a trouble condition if the connection is lost. If multiple programs connect to the panel, each requires a separate supervised code, while unsupervised codes allow multiple users to share the same code at the same time. When using software such as PotterNet FOW, set a static IP address for the panel. Under LAN settings, select Use Static IP. The default IP address of 192.168.150.10 and subnet mask 255.255.255.0 are acceptable. Use 8.8.8.8 as the preferred DNS and 8.8.4.4 as the alternate. If the panel and FOW are connected to a customer LAN or a peer-to-peer network, this IP scheme may change. Create an FSAE-style zone for each floor displayed on the FOW. Lower zone numbers appear at the bottom of the FOW display, with higher numbers above. For example, zone 601 for the first floor, 602 for the second. The FOW will display the first floor on the bottom, the second above it, and so on. It is important to name the zones correctly, using both upper and lowercase letters, because when commissioning the FOW, it will import these FSAE-style zones and their respective names into the overview display. The only way to update these names will be by rebuilding a new overlay. The only thing that needs to be added to these FSAE zones is the associated heat detector. Indicators for normal, monitoring, and unsafe will be created in the FOW software. Hoistway light control can be added by making an FSAE-style zone and adding the inputs for hoistway manual on and hoistway manual off, as well as relay outputs for hoistway on and off. Power monitoring faults shown on the FOW, such as a hoistway light fault, must be set as a supervisory point in a supervisory-style zone. The indicators on the FOW will follow the latching rule set in the zone. All programming at the control panel level is done and should be sent to the panel prior to programming the FOW itself. This section covers the setup, configuration, and operation of the Floor Overview workstation, covering license validation, panel connection, system configuration, and the final in-service interface. The FOW is a Windows-based touchscreen PC with USB ports for connecting a keyboard and mouse, making software license validation and system updates easier. It is recommended to validate the license, update Windows, and set a static IP address before taking the FOW to the customer site. If the panel uses the default IP 192.168.150.10, assign 192.168.150.11 to the FOW, ensuring both devices use the same subnet mask. There are two ways to validate the license. The first requires an internet connection. Log in with a valid PotterLink username and password to access available licenses linked to the ESD account. After selecting a license and entering customer information, the software will validate through the PotterLink license server. For offline registration, first create a license request file. Upload this file to the ESD's PotterLink license server, then download the generated response file. Use the Install License option in the software to add and activate the license. On initial setup, a prompt to create an administrator password will appear. The password must contain 8 characters. The next screen displays the panel importer, where a panel configuration file can be added using Browse to locate files saved on the local FOW hard drive. The preferred method is Add Panel, which connects directly to a panel via the FOW Ethernet port. The PC connection user code and panel IP address must be entered to establish the connection and retrieve the configuration file. Once the panel is added, the software launches PotterNet Studio, which is the configuration application. The control panel appears in the top left corner. Selecting the down arrow expands the navigation tree to show connected SLC and P-Link devices. To begin configuring the floor overview window, first select the Overview tab, and then select Add Floor Overview in the bottom left corner. The Configure Floor Overview window appears, allowing a name to be assigned to the overview. This name will display at the top of the screen when the FOW is in service. The configuration can be loaded from the network or from a file, with loading from the network being the recommended option. The next screen provides options to configure system indicators, hoistway light functions, and display settings. Points can be assigned to display status indicators such as normal power fault and emergency power fault. Selecting the 3 dots beside a point line opens a list of all supervisory points for selection. Points monitoring hoistway light status and relay controls can be configured on the right side of the screen. Job Details displays the 4 address lines set in the PFPP software at the top of the screen. Custom Logo allows a custom design to appear as a screensaver approximately every 10 minutes. The system supports dark and light modes, with dark mode enabled by default. Dark mode uses dark colors for low light comfort, while light mode uses bright colors for well-lit settings. The final setup screen configures heat and smoke detectors. If a smoke detector is installed at the top of the hoistway, check the corresponding box. Use the gear icon to select or adjust detectors for each floor, and the X icon to remove a detector. The FOW automatically adds lines based on the number of FSAE-style zones defined in the PFPP software. A smoke detector is required for each floor on the FOW. When using PhD detectors, associated smoke detectors at the same SLC address are added automatically. When using HD detectors, smoke detectors must be added manually. Clicking Finish displays a preview of the in-service FOW interface. Additional overlays can also be created. The hamburger menu in the bottom left corner provides access to system settings such as user management. Save and Exit saves the configuration and places the FOW into service. The in-service screen displays counters for current panel statuses and heat readings on each floor. Active smoke detectors are listed on the right, while hoistway lights can be controlled at the top of the screen next to the power fault indicators. To return to PotterNet Studio, an admin user must be signed in. Select the hamburger menu, choose File, and then Open Studio. If multiple overviews have been created, they can be accessed by selecting the hamburger menu, then View, followed by Floor Overview. For more information about Potter products, please visit our website at pottersignal.com. To access additional training resources, check out our online training portal at academy.pottersignal.com. Stay connected with us on social media for the latest updates and news.